Shalom, family. This is a special presentation of the Kjudah Show, and I am the Oracle007. We would like to take the time this evening to examine a case that hits close to home with one of our very own. Although we're often instructed that justice is blind, we are not without discernment in taking note of the omissions and cumbersome circumstances that revolve around the innocent and or unjustly prosecuted in the Black community, inclusive of those who fight against those injustices. The information provided in this segment is a personal witness account and experience as shared by advocate, author, and community leader Christina Laster. All participants are presumed innocent until proven guilty, or the innocent have been exonerated and absolved of all guilt. Additionally, the information provided in this segment does not and is not intended to constitute legal advice. Instead, all information, content, and materials presented are fair use and for general informational and educational purposes only. We'd like to thank you for joining us this evening, as we do not take your investing your time with us lightly. Aside from much of what we've seen concerning this matter, we would like to share the story, the side of the story that has not been shared by the mainstream media. Again, thank you for joining us, and Shabbat Shalom, family. I am the Oracle007, and I approve this message. So let the games begin.
Shalom to the CUC, FOPE, the HBG, Honey Badger Gang, Chat, Mods family. Thank you so much for being here. Peace and blessings to all of you, especially to our brother Kjudah, who has allowed us to use his platform this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome to the stage one of the Most High Yah's battle axes in this faith on the political stage, and she does even more than that. The lovely Miss Christina Laster, known to us as Wise Society. How are you doing this evening, ma'am?
Shalom, family. I'm all right. It's been a long week, but I think that I'll be good. Just a little rest, and I'll be right back at it. Thanks for having.
Right. Thank you so much. We are so happy to see you here. So, again, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you here. And more importantly, the fact that you agreed to this interview. Um, One of the things that I wanted to bring to light, I know you're tired because you've been working tirelessly with regard to SB 1248, with regard to Yeshua Robinson that you allocated for his family recently. And we wanted to encourage our people to please visit Wise Society's channel to review the passing of the bill in its entirety on behalf of Yeshua Robinson. Please go to her channel and view that because his mother made such a passionate plea. It was heartbreaking. But please go to her channel and listen to that. If you have not yet subscribed to her, please do so immediately. In this clip that I'm about to provide you for your viewing pleasure, Deborah Yah actually reported on this on her channel, redirecting approximately a year ago. So your advocacy has assisted in bringing about some change. Let's take a look at the report, and then I'm going to come right on back to you, okay?
Yes.
So I'm going to get into this story. I want you all to take a look at or take a listen to what I'm about to say here, and look at the severity of this. 12-year-old Yeshua Yahya Robinson was pronounced gone at a local hospital after he collapsed on the field during PE class at Riverside County Middle School. So according to NBC Los Angeles, Robinson had not properly dressed out for class. And to get back at him, he was forced to run around the field. Now here's the thing, okay? It said it wasn't long before he began to feel ill. And he told teachers and other students that he couldn't breathe and needed water.
So I stand before you today on behalf of Senator Hurtado, but once again with a heavy heart, presenting a bill about the loss of life of one of our young people. This bill, 1248, is also known as Yahshua's Law. The bill was named in honor of Yahshua Robinson, a 12-year-old who tragically lost his life at Canyon Lake Middle School while participating in physical education during an extreme heat situation. With us today, we have two witnesses, Christina Laster, who's been advocating on behalf of the Robinson family, and Janie Robinson, who is the mother of Yahshua Robinson. We appreciate them being here. Mr. Chair, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, and welcome to the Robinsons. Please proceed.
Can you guys hear me? Yep.
Very well.
Hi, I am Christina Laster. Greetings, senators and members of the public of California. As an advocate, I understand that I use my voice frequently to speak up on behalf of those who feel voiceless. Today, the greatest situation lies before me, but this is a constituent-led effort as reflective of the family members behind me that are also community members that care deeply about children. I won't take too much time because I'd rather allow the voice of the parents to come forward, but I do ask that you consider seriously that community, that band came together to make this happen in a reality for all of our children, and that you would pass SB 1248.
Very good. So again, that measure has 4 votes at the moment. It will pass. We'll leave it open for absent members to come in and take a vote. But again, thank you to the family. Thank you for doing your part to make California a better place.
Thank you.
Sister Christina, I do apologize for that. I was asking if you would be so kind as to please expound upon the work that you've been doing with regard to everything, not only as an author and an advocate, but in various leadership roles with some high profile organizations on behalf of our communities, not just in California, but it appears to be nationwide. Would you do that much for us, please?
Yeah, sure. So I am a policy and legislation strategist nationwide. The situation that everybody just saw about Yeshua um, is with regards to exactly what you saw. He was forced to do physical activities in an excessive heat condition, environmental. It was hot, right? We got a heat advisory the weekend before out here in California, saying that all week long it was going to be excessive heat. People were warned to put their animals, keep them inside, make sure elderly people were hydrated, avoid bus stops, and the like. And that didn't happen at his school. The PE teacher made them go outside to run. He collapsed and died. Okay. There's other situations where families come to me, like for instance in Michigan, little Journey Hoffmeyer's hair was cut off at school,
Mm-hmm.
and her dad contacted me. He said, he was looking for an advocate to help him, and he just knew that I was the only one that would probably be able to make sense out of what he was saying, because other people had ignored him. He's a black man, so they just ignored him or said, "Oh, it's just hair; it'll grow back." I spearheaded that situation, creating
Thank you.
essentially what Michigan has now as the Crown Act. Now California will have what's called Yeshua's Law. There's other states where I've done this in, and it's all pertaining to Black children and families who do not, who are undervalued, not represented, and underheard. And so, because I understand law, policy, and code, that is my area of expertise.
Mm.
I have been able to infuse into the code righteousness or justice, right? Even
Right.
though these situations warrant more, right? Like sometimes you have to take it into the court as well. Like we can create laws and that's fine. But you guys are going to pay for what you did. And even though we can't bring a life back, and yes, her hair was cut off, and children locked in rooms and different things like that, you have to pay for what you did
Thank
financially
you.
and legally. And so that's who I am. For the most part, most of my work is focused around K to 12 education. What's happening with Black children in schools, right? How are they being treated? How are we looking at their advancements? How are they being viewed as people, as human beings? But I do also do some things in juvenile justice courts and child welfare systems, because I've noticed over the past 2 years a huge increase in the
Mm-hmm.
way that child protective services and the Department of Children's Services is starting to just come and take our children away. And a lot of times those children are taken to other states. You never see them again. So there was a case in Tennessee. where 5 children were with their parents, traveling from Georgia to, and please forgive me because I'm a little bit tired, but I want to articulate this very well. Um,
Thank you.
Traveling from Georgia, and the dad got stopped. Troopers pulled the dad and mom out. They took the 5 children and instantly told the parents that they were taking them into child custody. Well, what was the crime, right? So we were able to quickly go and retrieve all 5 of the children, and now there is a suit being filed against the state of Tennessee for wrongfully pulling the family over and taking the children away, all because they were traveling while being Black. And so my focus is just about us. A lot of people don't like it, but people do understand that they have to respect, what I am doing and saying. And so I have, been on school boards. I'm a school board member now, even though I'm not here in that capacity. I sit on council at Stanford. I do a lot. Like, it's a lot that it's hard to even articulate, but it's all necessary because our children are in danger around these people. They're not safe with them at all. And so I'm
You
going to
haven't
pause.
said nothing but a word. You have
Right.
told nothing but the truth. Things that we know, but may not necessarily get so involved in, and we need to. And for everything that you've done, um, if you don't mind, I wanted to kind of rewind back to what I found out happened, which was the coroner report stating that for Yeshua Robinson, that he also had a heart problem, some type of heart defect. I just wanted to ask you, I don't know if you're at liberty to talk about that or not.
Yeah.
Did he have one? Were his parents aware of this? Either way, he was not supposed to be outside
His parents
running.
were not aware of that. It was not indicated in any of his medical records. As a matter of fact, his parents did, describe him as very active. He played football, right?
Mm,
And so there were things that the parents are questioning as to the validity of the statements of the coroner. And if anybody understands about the Inland Empire in California, is a very racist area with roots in organized white supremacy. As a matter of fact, there was one of the head leaders that initiated, some white supremacist, and I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, so I'm just gonna just call it what I know it as.
WS. We can use
WS,
WS.
okay,
Hmm.
some WS gangs, mainly youth ones, out in the Inland Empire, and the FBI, the the 3-letter organizations. I'm gonna do my best,
Hmm.
sister. I'm gonna do my best.
That's fine.
Um, Collaborated with other 3-letter organizations to shut them down. Well, in 2021, that head leader was found in a home, unalived. So if you guys actually kicked them out, how do you get back? And so what we know is that these people are existing. They don't have to have hoods on at night, but we know who they are, and we know that this is their area. So
Hmm.
it's not surprising to me that there are some discrepancies in the reports that are not consistent with his medical record. And those we will plan to challenge in the courts.
Thank you so much for
Hmm.
saying that, because when I read that, to be honest with you, I wasn't quite certain. I don't remember where I got that information from, where I pulled it from, because I was pulling so much information that when I saw that, and I said, I pray that this is not an attempt to save the school district, the school board, or the PE teacher. Otherwise, the Most High plead our cause as we offer our sincerest condolences to this family, because certainly they would have known that. But either way, according to what you just stated, they were not supposed to be running PE.
So the National Weather Service reported that it was 96 degrees at the time that he collapsed. And alongside of what they stated as a heart anomaly in the coroner's report, which is public, so I am at liberty to talk about it,
Thank
they
you.
did say that the two contributing factors were heat exertion and excessive heat, right? And so if
Mm-hmm.
you were to think about what is a heat stroke, if we broke that down to identify what exactly does it mean when you have a heat stroke, oftentimes you will see um, a heart issue at that time, right? A heart attack, even if you want to call it that, right? And so we understand the dynamics of a heat stroke. We understand what happens with the blood flow to the brain and the blood vessels, and everything else that happens, heart attacks included. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that only can come through exertion in the heat. And so originally, the school district put out a statement that the students weren't outside um, doing any physical activities in the heat. They weren't sprinting, they weren't running, where the coroner's report stated clearly that he was exerting himself and he had to be in a sprint, is what they called it. So we know
Unbelievable.
that they were, in fact, running
And they were running
in the
outside
heat. Hmm.
in the heat.
Outside. And it was
Thank
96 degrees.
Thank you. I wanted clarity with regard to this, so I was being selfish with that information, but thank you so much for expounding upon that.
That's okay.
Um, right now, tonight, we are here to discuss the case that's near and dear to your heart, not only in which they all are, apparently, because we can hear your passion, not only as an advocate, but as a mother and a grandmother. So, can you please tell us about your lovely daughter, Khaila, who we believe is, I'm thinking she's currently incarcerated due to this horrible injustice as it pertains to this custody battle?
Yes, I can. And what I want to really preface this with is that I do this work and I realize the system doesn't like it. And I
Mm,
realize the WS don't like it. And so over time, I have succumbed to various types of attack. This, to me, feels like an attack of the greatest one. And so my daughter, Kayla, was, you know, abused by this man that she was with when she was in her early 20s, who took
mm-hmm,
advantage of her. And, really interestingly enough, the more I dug into his family history and the more I know about it, it kind of warrants a question of why would he even be interested in my daughter, because he has deep ties in the WS. Three letters
mm.
starting with a K. Okay.
He looks like it too.
Right. And so you think about it, like, what was this approach? Why is it that found he is 11 years older than my daughter? Why is it that you searched her out, targeted a relationship with her to have a child? Well, when you think about it in the sense of genetic survival, you see a lot happening, and a lot being portrayed as something that young Black women or men should do, outside of their nation, outside of the nation. So my daughter ends up in a relationship with this man, who she ends up pregnant by. He starts to abuse her, okay, while she was pregnant with my granddaughter. Immediately the family's like, you can't bring that around here, you gotta go back to wherever you came from, but you can't be
Mm,
around here and you can't be around us, with the abuse. Alongside of that, he is just this compulsive alcoholic, right? Like every single day, this guy's drunk off of whiskey. It's just crazy stuff. And so my daughter tries to break away from him and just stay away from him, but he tries to, on occasion, stalk and hunt her down. Ultimately, she did get away, but then he located her, took my granddaughter, and didn't bring her back. When my daughter went to law enforcement and courts and all of those things, they looked at her as a Black woman like, you know what? you're going to have to deal with that. It's a civil matter. We can't do nothing about it. Sorry, we can't help you. Go back and talk to the judge. So my daughter ultimately goes back and forth, back and forth. They're not really helping her. The system's like, whatever, deal with it on your own. So then,
Of course.
she moves away to Tennessee, gets married and starts the family, but all the while is still trying to search for her daughter, my granddaughter Iris. Last year, I get a phone call from a school in El Cajon, California.
This was
And
last year, you say?
uh-huh. And the school says, "Are you Iris's grandmother? Your name Christina Laster?" I said, "Yes, I am." And they said, "Well, we have Iris here in the office. No one has come to pick her up." So, what do you mean? No one has come to pick her up? And they said, "Well, she's been sitting here for over an hour, and typically her dad picks her up, but we can't get a hold of him." Now, I'm a known advocate in the state, right? So it's not hard for people to find me. And because I'm a school board member in the state, my information is public, right? It's part of the rules
Right.
of being an elected official. And so
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I tell them, "Listen, I live 3 hours away. Do not contact," because I know the protocols, CPS to pick her up, because I don't want her in foster care. I will come and get her right now. Okay. They said, "Sorry, we can't do that." So I'm like, all right, give me dad's information. I'm going to contact him. So I end up getting the phone number, reaching out, texting, calling. He doesn't answer the phone. And so I ultimately leave a message saying, "If you do not pick up Iris from school right now, she is going to end up in the system's custody, because they won't let me pick her up, even though they called me." So I didn't get a phone call or a message back from either him or the school. So, I'm nervous, like, what's going on? I don't know what's happening. I have to wait till the next day or whatever for the school to open and, be able to communicate with them. He ends up calling me back the next day. And I said, "What is going on?" I got a call from the school saying that Iris didn't get picked up, and that this is not just the first time. This is like the fourth or fifth time that you're not answering their calls or texts. And look, this is my granddaughter. I love her. Whatever I need to do, I will take care of her. Bring her to
Mm-hmm.
me, or I'll
Mm-hmm.
come get her right now. No questions asked, and I'm going to come get her. And he says, "Well, I fell on hard times and I was homeless and, all of this stuff. And I really don't have money." And, talking about he can't buy groceries and all this other stuff. So I said, no problem. I'll come get her. He says, "Well, I could bring her to you if you give me money." I said, "I'm not
Wow.
going to pay you $120 is what he asked. I'm not going to pay you $120 to bring my granddaughter. I'll come get her." He's like, Never mind. We can meet halfway." So we text the location to meet in common. Like, halfway is, in Riverside County, California, from San Diego to Riverside County. And I end up meeting him at night. My granddaughter gets in the car. My grandkids call me Grammy. So she's like, "Hi, Grammy," and I'm like, "Hi, baby. Come on, get in the car. Um, he packed her bags, gave them to me, even though, my plan was to throw the stuff away anyway, because I was going to buy her all new
Of
stuff. It didn't matter,
course.
right? I don't even want the stuff from you. Just give me my baby. And so I put her in the back of the car, and she was there with my younger two children. I have my daughter Kayla's 30, but I have a 30-year-old daughter, a 26-year-old daughter, a 17-year-old daughter, and a 12-year-old son. So she's
Looking
with
every
my
bit of fabulous like you do
Thank
not.
you.
But go
And
on
then
with
I
your
have
story.
grandchildren, right? And so she's like, "Hi, TT," telling her aunt, "Hi, TT," and "Hi, Uncle Daniel." And she gets in and then she falls asleep. I ask her, "Do you hungry?" "No, I'm not hungry." So I know I got an hour and a half drive, and we get in the car, come home. I leave her asleep, carry her in the house. Everything's good. She wakes up the next day, laughing. We're like, how have you been? Asking her all about everything. We're just talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
My kids are glad to see her, and they're telling her everything that they're about to do with her, and how it's going to be so great at Grammy's house. And she's excited. And so we give her a bath and a shower, and we noted bruises, welts, burns, bruises, welts, burns, all on her back and the back of her arms. And I'm saying, what in the world happened to you? Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I am like highly upset and concerned about what happened to her back. I see a cigarette burn on the back of her arm. I'm like, who did this to you? So I take her in the bedroom and I start wiping her down with shea butter. You know how we do. I'm like, I'm about to put some shea
Yeah.
butter and some Neosporin on you. And I start taking pictures. But because I've spent my entire career in my life in K to 12 education, I was like, I'm gonna have to record this. I
Yes.
need to record this conversation, and I need to go get a neighbor that I trust to be a witness. So I go get my neighbor. Me and her, we're good. Um, and I said, I want to show you what's on my granddaughter's back. And then I want you to come with me and we can ask her what happened to her. So we turned the recorder on, take pictures. I showed Iris a picture of her back, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
said, have you seen this, granddaughter? And she said, she just looked at me and she put her head down. I said, granddaughter, I need you to tell me what happened. What happened to your back? And she said, my dad hit me hard and a lot with a belt. And I said, well, you have cigarette burns on you. What happened? And she said, he burned me with a cigarette, but he said he was sorry.
Oh
He said
my
he was sorry
God.
and he gave me a hug, Grammy.
And Sister Christina, I don't want to interrupt, but I want to
Mm-hmm.
let you know that I'm showing these photographs now.
Okay.
I
Okay.
was able to finally get them in there. I'm showing them now. And for the rest of you, viewer discretion is advised, as I've advised earlier on. But
So if you
please go
see,
ahead.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
No, I was going to say, please go on and finish telling us the
So
story because this is painful. This looks like he hit her with more than a belt.
right, and if you look at the circles underneath the welts and the scabs, you'll see the burn. There was a burn mark right there, like the little circle right there that looks white. Yeah, down at the lower left hand side. And then I don't know if you have the picture of her arm, but there
That
was
will be coming up shortly. I
right.
was trying to
Oh,
actually loop them in, but you'll see it. But that
right.
white spot,
Mm-hmm. And so it also on the side of her body looked very black and blue, right?
there it
So
is.
I am asking her what happened, and she tells me exactly what happens because I'm a safe person. My grandkids know I ain't playing. If somebody hurts you, I'm gonna do whatever I can. My grandchildren they go around and say, "Don't mess with me," because my Grammy will come for you. And so she knew, and I asked her, "How many times has he done this to you?" And she said, I don't know. I said, was it like one time? I start counting on my fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when I got to 5, and I realized this child doesn't know if it was 5 times, that means he does it so much that she lost count,
Right.
right?
Right.
She lost count. And when she told me, but he says he's sorry and he gives me a hug, I'm like, that's typical DV,
Right.
right? You're
Exactly.
perpetuating this pattern of DV onto my granddaughter. And so I end up filing a mandated report because I'm a mandated reporter. I submit that. I call the local law enforcement, get the report number, and then I call my daughter and I said, I want you to know, first of all, because my daughter, she's 5 months pregnant right now. I said, I want you to sit down and I want to talk to you about something. I said, first of all, I want you to know I have Iris. I have Iris here with me. And, she's going to be with me. And I told her what happened about the school situation and all this other stuff. And second of all, I want you to know that he's been abusing her.
Yes.
So I told her how I got Iris. And then I told her that he was abusing her. And so she instantly says, I want to talk to Iris on video chat. I need her to see my face. I need to see her. Right. So we jump on like a video chat. Iris is crying, but she's happy to see her mom. And her mom said, did your daddy do that to you? And she said, yes, mommy. And she said, I'm coming to get you. And so we make arrangements for my daughter to get her daughter back. She has a 2020 custody order. And so, that's the one that when she needed help to try to find her, they wouldn't help her. The courts and all of the people kept saying, we don't do that here. And so anyway, Iris goes back with my daughter. She sends Iris's dad an email saying there's allegations that you abusing Iris from not only abandoning her at school, but here are the pictures of the harm that we believe you did to her. And then further was that my granddaughter told me that there were times where she wasn't allowed to eat. Okay, so there's a lot more than what meets the eye here. So my daughter takes her back home with her to Tennessee. She files a report with the child services over there, just so that it's documented. We send the pictures, everything. Months later, while Iris is in therapy, she's in school, she's doing good. We're getting her the help that she needs. We found out that she was severely delayed. And abuse does that to you. So whereas she's 7 years old and supposed to be in the second grade, she's only at a preschool and nursery school level of understanding, right? And so we start, really intervening for her to have everything that she needs so that she can be better. Months later, he calls, well, actually, let me backtrack. I get a call from the El Cajon Sheriff's Investigation Unit talking about they were looking for a missing child. Missing child? Well, what are you talking about? And they're like, your granddaughter, Iris, is missing. I said, Iris is not missing. She's with her mom. What do you mean she's missing? And so this investigator proceeds to tell me that the dad came into the police station, the sheriff's department, said that his child is missing. He doesn't know where she's at. And that you were the last person to see her. It's like, really? Because last time I checked, the school called me, told me he didn't pick her up. He abandoned her at school. I can tell you the school name and the principal and everything, right? And me and him met because he said he couldn't take care of her. I gave her to her next parent, which is her mom, who is my daughter. And so that investigator said, can you send me everything, that you have with regards to the text messages, communications, whatever? I'm like, sure, no problem, And I said, by the way, will you be investigating him for the abuse? Because I mandated reported abuse and I haven't heard anything back yet. And so will you equally be investigating him for the way that he burned my granddaughter with cigarettes and beat her on her back till she bled and scabbed up? I want to know who's doing that investigation. And she said, well, I didn't know anything about that. So I said, don't worry. I got the pictures. I'll send them to you. Okay. So I sent them to her, and that particular person, I got her badge number and all of that, phone number, all that. She told him, we can't do nothing. You need to deal with this matter in courts, which was the initial response that my daughter had got when she had her custody order. And he goes then to the San Diego District Attorney's office and tells them again that Iris is missing, but not only is she missing, that my daughter came to California, abducted her, and took her back to Tennessee, and didn't say anything. He doesn't know where she lives. You know, he doesn't have her address, and like he has custody of Iris. And so I get a call from the San Diego child abduction investigators around August or September. And I told them Iris is not missing. And it was the first time that I heard about that 2018 custody order. And as I, talked to the person, I said, well, my daughter has a 2020 custody order, so I don't know what he's talking about. And she's like, oh, well, do you have a copy of it? And I said, absolutely. And I said, and by the way, since you are the district attorney's office, and your job is to enforce the law, and enforce when people do things that are criminal, I want to know if your office will also be handling the abuse. And they're like, well, what abuse? And I'm like, here are pictures of my granddaughter. Here is what happened. So I'm repeating this story over and over again about him abandoning her at school, about him burning her with cigarettes, about him beating her on the back. And I'm sending them pictures and all kinds of other stuff, proof that he dropped her off with all her bags, is what he said in the text. Okay. To me. And that he did that voluntarily, right? So where's the abduction? Where is the missing child? Where is this investigation going? And why is it no one doing anything about the fact that I'm showing you pictures? I'm showing you the time stamped and dated pictures of what occurred, and I'm telling you what my granddaughter told me, and I believe her, because 7-year-olds don't make stuff up like this. And if you have an alternative understanding of what happened to her, please bring it forward, because last time I checked, it was on her back and the back of her arm. People, what's going on here, right? So I'm having this conversation, and they're making me real mad, and I just said, okay, we need to deal with this in court in Tennessee, because she's been in Tennessee for a while, and we need Tennessee state to protect her from further harm. So my daughter goes to Tennessee court. She gets a restraining order, and the judge issues a order for Iris to stay put in the state of Tennessee, where no one could take her out. He then goes back to San Diego, the dad, to the court, and gets a different order. Well, he didn't notify them that my daughter had other orders. He gets the judge.
May I ask you a question? And don't forget what you just told me. I apologize for this.
It's okay.
Do the courts not have a way that they speak to one another? Where you know how there's a GCIC,
right?
You go on that system and you pull up everybody who has a warrant from wherever. Why can't the? I just wanted to know: is there a way? And you said no.
There isn't a way, and that's in the state of California. Okay, so if you want to see a warrant, you can pull it up from wherever. You can see people's arrest records. You can see, if someone's a convicted felon or whatever, right? That's not the same when it comes to custodial orders. It's not the same when it comes to restraining orders. So essentially, a person has to carry these things around with them in order to show this is what we have. And that's why I had to show it so many times, right? And so Riverside County Court keeps their own records versus San Diego County Court. Okay. So there was no way for that information to be shared unless you shared with them or they had prior knowledge, which they didn't. And so essentially what he did was go to the San Diego courts and tell them that my daughter took her out of the state without his permission, that he had custody of her, and basically didn't even notify them of other orders that were superior to his, right? He didn't even notify my daughter that they had court that day. And basically, by default, he was able to get the referral for child abduction to issue a warrant for my daughter's arrest.
Unbelievable. I wanted to ask you this. Thank you so much for breaking all of that down because it brings me back to this. I had heard because I had listened to your information with regard. I think her name is Alicia Investigates on
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, and one thing that you said was your daughter was going into the military in 2018, but some things changed. She didn't complete the process. So, was she ever processed like at the MEP station? Was she ever processed at all that they would accept her? And I believe that the military refers to it like as a family,
Plan, yes.
yeah, as a family plan, that they would accept it and then maintain it for some weird reason when she has specifically, in accordance to what you stated, turned this documentation over because for the sake of going in the military.
Right. And so, and I'm being cautious with the way that I'm framing this because
I
she's still
understand.
just so everyone knows, right? She's still incarcerated, and I have to protect the integrity of her right to remain silent while I tell this story. And so, basically, she did agree to go into court with him and consent to custody in 2018 because she was going to go into the military, and that's what the recruiter's office told her, that she had to have a plan. But I'm finding out, just because I'm dealing with this situation right now, that you don't necessarily have to concede your rights in court the way she did. So I believe while she did have to have a plan, it wasn't to the extent of her and him going into court and doing it the way that they did in 2018. And what she didn't realize, was that, until 2020, when she couldn't get her daughter back, was that she needed to at some point go back into the courts and resume her custodial role with the courts, right? And so in
Right.
2020, she did that. Now, she didn't go to the military because she ended up not being able to medically pass, whatever the protocols was, because of her asthma, and something was also wrong with her knee at the time. And
Okay.
so she was not able to actually finish the process of being recruited, and that's what happened, right? I mean, I would encourage anyone who has a consensual plan in the courts. Like, there's different ways that you can go to the courts and get custody. One of those ways is just like if you guys have a disagreement about custody, or a divorce, whatever happens. But then also, parents do go to the court to do consent types of agreements before the judge, right? I mean, it's typically rare, but that's sometimes it happens. But I would encourage people to always make sure that they maintain their court orders, because this kind of situation, what I'm finding out, is more frequent than we think, right?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Where moms are being charged with child abduction, and most of them look like us,
Of course.
right? Or kidnapping, depending on the state that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
because, or custodial interference, right? Depending on the state that you're in, because their orders, what they thought they had in their order, wasn't what they had legally.
I was wondering why they did not allow for, you know how they have that affidavit, sometimes that'll allow you to take care of older people or children, that you can just go ahead and get that notarized, have that available, whether that child was with a grandparent, a parent. This went too, absolutely too far. And the fact that he was able to do this, and my thoughts were by the time she told him what she was going to do, that he now had to go in and try to, he's not necessarily saving face
Right,
as he's trying to save his butt.
right.
May I ask you, have you spoken to Iris recently. Do you know how she's doing? Because this is scary.
So
This is
the thing
mortifying.
is that this guy goes into the courts, manipulates the courts, gets them to do his bidding. You know, essentially because he's a white man, she's a black woman.
Of
They believe
course.
him, and he didn't even have to show any evidence. Now I'm showing evidence the whole time of the abuse, and the system doesn't even care about that. And they literally hand her back over to him. He's basically asking for the state of California to do his bidding, and he didn't even come back to California. He didn't bring her back either. We don't
He's
even
not in California. He's
No.
not there.
no.
You're
No.
you're I want to if you'll allow, let me play this clip.
Okay.
This bugged me. I have so many red flags around what this reporter is stating, and I think you and I will be on the same page. Let's listen in.
Well, the search for a 7-year-old girl missing out of Rutherford County is in its 6th day. Right now, there's an endangered child alert out for Iris Crum.
Our Dryden Quigley joins us now. And Dryden, why hasn't this been elevated to an Amber Alert?
Marius, it's because Iris does not meet all of the criteria that TBI has set for an Amber Alert. The child must be younger than 17 and in imminent danger of injury or death. Instead, Iris qualifies for an Endangered Child Alert, which means there is concern for the missing child's safety. Hurry up and wait. That's what Anthony Crum has been doing for the past 6 days as he hopes for an update about his missing 7-year-old daughter.
The police told us not to do anything, to just pretty much sit back and let them do what they need to do.
He flew here from California after winning full custody of Iris Crum. Police were supposed to reunite the pair on Friday, but they couldn't find her.
I didn't know really what to think or how to feel. You know, I was heartbroken, and I'm scared for my daughter, honestly.
Police believe she was taken by her mother, Khaila, who does not have custody of her and is now wanted by police for custodial interference.
Give up, do the right thing. You know, don't put any more heartache on our child.
Crum and his lawyer have been talking with detectives about using Noah's Law, which could help elevate the case from an Endangered Child Alert to an Amber Alert. They would need a judge to declare Iris is in imminent danger.
Do you personally think that Iris is in imminent danger?
Well, she's not going to school. I don't know what kind of food or anything like that they're eating, if anything at all.
Happy birthday to Daddy.
He hasn't been able to sleep, not knowing if his daughter is close by or in another state.
She's very kind and loving. She's a gentle kind of soul, and I just miss her to death, and I want her back.
This afternoon, police said they have no update on the case and that detectives are investigating. They're asking anyone with information about Iris or Serezda to call 1-800-TBI-FIND. Marius, Lauren.
Okay, I'm going to go into number 2. This will be pretty quick as well. I hope you caught some of the things that I heard them say on this one, but let's go into 2 because I was a little confuzzled from him saying that she's not in school. And then this is what I heard. I thought that's where he was supposed to be picking her up from. So there's some more I'm going to ask you.
And tonight, a father is pleading for the safe return home of his little girl. 7-year-old Iris Crum was last seen Friday in Murfreesboro. TBI has issued an endangered child alert for her, but after nearly a week of searching, investigators say they have no update on where she is. News 2's Adam Mincer spoke with Iris's father, who is hoping Tennesseans will hear his story and help him find his little girl.
Happy birthday to Daddy.
Iris Crum has been missing for 6 days, each day leaving her father feeling more and more lost.
Just trying to do what we can to not go stir crazy.
On March 1st, Anthony Crum says he planned to pick up his 7-year-old girl after school. That never happened.
I didn't know really what to think or how to feel. You know, I was heartbroken, and I'm scared for my daughter, honestly.
Authorities describe Iris as 5 feet tall, 80 pounds with black hair and brown eyes, and say she's likely with her mother, who does not have custody over her.
And Anthony wanted to meet here on Blue Fox Trail in Murfreesboro. This is the last place Iris was seen, according to law enforcement. And Anthony hopes by coming out here, he might find some clue or hint indicating where Iris might be.
Well, she's not going to school. I don't know what kind of food or anything like that they're eating, if anything at all.
He describes his daughter as bubbly, smart, and loving.
She's a gentle kind of soul, and I just miss her to death, and I want her back.
And there's a clock running. Crum lives in San Diego. This was all supposed to be a quick trip to get Iris, and eventually he says he'll run out of money to stay here and keep searching for her.
I'm not really going away. I'm trying to fight for my child.
He says he won't give up until he gets his daughter back. His light, his Iris. In Murfreesboro, Adam Mincer, News 2.
And as of this afternoon, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office says they have no additional details on where Iris could be. If you see Iris or her mother, reach out to the Rutherford.
First of all, I just could not believe this man was 40 years old. I couldn't believe it.
So basically what we just witnessed was a public, I have my slave papers, go get my property back moment. Okay.
Right.
And that's what that was. And basically she's been his meal ticket because he was on public services. Just gonna say that.
Of course.
Off of her. Okay. Of course you can't live without her, right? And the WS media and the WS enforcement agencies picked up on that signal. Here are my slave papers, go get my property, and they complied. And immediately after he does these interviews, he starts a GoFundMe, right? And you have people in Tennessee notifying me of I saw him and he was drunker than whatever.
He looks like he's inebriated at this in both of these interviews. Right. Like he is not stable.
Right. And nobody asks him the question of how did she come get her, right? Like, how was this child abducted from you? Nobody asked him the question, and he purposely and intentionally never said anything about I gave her to her grandma. Never said anything about that. He just talks about she's missing school. But guess what? She's not in school now. Right? And the first thing he does, and I told law enforcement over and over and over again, if you give my granddaughter back to him, he's going to run. And where is he now?
Gone.
With her.
Thank you. And so these were the reporter pretty much fortified the statement when they're doing the interview. This got me when they said she mentions that Anthony, after winning full custody of Iris Crum, like it had just happened. It just like he just got his papers, just like you said. And then she fortifies that comment, that statement with saying, your daughter, who does not have custody. Well, we thought we had determined that after he won full custody. What was the purpose of saying that? Because you're just driving this thing home. It actually means nothing. You're not talking about how messy this whole case is. And I just saw this as a total misrepresentation of information. But you've already explained to us what your take on it was. Another red flag for me was when they were talking and they said it's been after 6 days. How come it hadn't been moved to an Amber Alert? After the TBI, or the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, stated that Iris's case initially did not meet the criteria for imminent danger scenario. So then they decided they were going to enact the SB 2182 Noah's Law.
So let me tell you about what was happening in the background.
Tell us. Thank
because
you.
people aren't going to tell this story. So what's happening is that the sheriff's department in Rutherford County and all of these investigators out of Tennessee are in touch with me, grandma, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling them that this is a Violence Against Women's Act situation, which has federal precedent over anything that they're saying or thinking, and that they need to protect the child at all costs, that he is an abuser. They need to do a global background check and a forensic interview. And if they don't have a forensic interview from DCS, who did come and talk to my granddaughter, but all of a sudden they can't find that report. Right?
Excuse me. What do you mean they can't find it? Did they give it to you? Did they give it to anybody?
Right. They didn't give it to anybody. Matter of fact, the judge wants to hear the matter, and DCS doesn't show up to court. So we're dealing with the Dixie mob. I'm just going to call it that.
Of course.
And
I
a lot
like
of
that.
correction. And so, you know, I'm saying that people's jobs are going to be on the line because I am going to take this all the way to the top, and I'm not going to stop. Basically telling them what protocols they're not following, all of these things. And so you see this week of, you know, the media doing this stuff, but then at the same time, you see also the report saying she may be with a non-custodial parent or possibly in danger, right?
I noticed that.
Because they're a little bit apprehensive because I'm on them. I'm like talking like white on rice, okay? And ultimately, though, San Diego puts in their threat. Like, you guys better do whatever you got to do because we're now going to issue a warrant. So at first it was just Tennessee, but then San Diego issues a child abduction warrant. And that's when, like, whatever I'm saying doesn't matter at that point.
This is unreal. So that's how they did this. I kept going. So how were they able to enact Noah's Law? And for those of you who don't know what that is, it seeks to allow the custodial parent under certain circumstances, but what are they? To seek emergency court order declaring a child to be in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death and ordering the non-custodial parent to return the child to the custodial parent immediately. At this point, for me, this was simple. They could remove this case from the docket if they go back to your daughter's information and how this whole thing happened. So,
And
but
they had to
the
carry
fact
out
that they
their
won't.
they had
Go
to
ahead.
carry out their narrative of being right. They had to carry it out. So what they did was try to put the worst possible pictures of my daughter up to make her look like she was a problem.
I saw
And
that.
to make her look like she was, gonna be dangerous to her own child. But what nobody said was that this guy has a background of all kinds of stuff that show red flags about being an abuser from 5 different states. Okay, 5. And he's coming to look for a child because he's weaponizing the system to further abuse them. And it worked. And, it's like, I don't want to, you're hunting. Why are you hunting for them? You use the system to hunt, do your hunting, go get my property. That's all I could hear, and that's all I could see watching this stuff. There's one interview where he's with this other guy who says, "Yeah, we just came to grab her real quick and get out." Well, what do you mean? Does anyone question why 2 YT men are looking for a little girl in the first place? And then using terminology like we're coming to grab her right quick and get out. And he looks inebriated in that interview as well.
I am so glad that you mentioned that because I was able to pull that down from TikTok. So, because I wanted to address that as well. I noticed that his friend was doing the talking. And I was like, none of this looks right. None of it feels right. We can't even be watching their children getting paid to watch or govern their children without being accosted. And you show up down here like this, there's no way they couldn't tell that this man did not appear to be under the influence. He looks like he can't even carry himself. And may I also say this, when he is talking about Iris, and I know that you know this, he refers to her like she's very kind, she's very loving, like he's talking about something else, like he's talking about a dog, like he's talking about somebody else that's not his daughter that he loves so much.
He
Did you
wasn't even
notice that?
talking about her. First of all, she's not 5 feet tall.
That's what
And
I was wondering.
right, like all of the information that they had was like, wait,
And
who?
her hair was black, and I was like, no, it's not.
Right. And I was like, do you even know her at all? She, really interesting is that during this whole time, I have people that are reaching out to me and they're going to his Facebook page and they're like, all of his pictures are of your daughter and Iris, like when she was pregnant with her, like, when she was a baby. And I said, why does he have pictures of my daughter on his Facebook page? Isn't he upset about, whatever tragedy he's claiming happened on the news? And isn't he concerned about her being in danger and not being in school and not having, food and all of these things? But he has pictures of my daughter, like as relics, like it's a game.
This day will catch up with you. This day, it's coming.
Right.
Okay. This is just unbelievable. The fact that they were able to turn this into an Amber Alert when it was not an Amber Alert, even when the reporter asked him, do you believe that Iris is in imminent danger? He said, well, she's not going to school. I
Right.
don't know what kind of food they're eating, if any. And I'm saying, how did y'all let him dance around that question? Because I would have went right back in there and said, okay, but do you believe that Iris is in imminent danger? He
Right.
never answered that question.
Yeah, they're playing a game. It's like a hunt, right? It's a game. It's game. It's a sport to them, and it's sick, but it's right in our face. And so all of the evidence, all of the pictures, even the audio recording of my granddaughter telling me what happened. And there's a CPS report that indicates that my granddaughter told CPS that he gave her the owies on her back, that he poured hot sauce in her mouth every time she acted up because it was a form of punishment, that he denied her clean clothes. He admitted that he did pour hot sauce down her back and denied her clean clothes. And
Down
had
her
her in.
back on the open wounds.
Yep. But he said about her back, what he told them was she fell in a rock pit. Huh? Okay. And then when they asked him about the cigarette burns, he told them, I was cooking bacon in the kitchen and the grease popped her. Huh? Was she in the kitchen with no shirt on? Was she in the rock pit with no shirt on? And you know what? Because he's whitey, they believed it. Didn't do anything about it. Said it was inconclusive. My granddaughter told you what happened. How is it inconclusive? She said what he did to her, right? And if you think about torturous abuse, what's next? If you burn a child with cigarettes multiple times and then hug them and say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it, and you beat them to the point where their skin is breaking and bleeding, it looks like she got hit with a wire, not a belt, right?
She looked like she got hit with a tree branch or something a few times. That's what it looks like to me.
And she's only 7 now, right? And what is next? And I kept asking the investigators, tell me what's next. torturous abuse, classic case. This is an assault. I want to press charges. They didn't take my request to press charges. And I continue to ask, where are my rights? How come I can't press charges? Right? All of that ignored. My mandated report, all ignored. The pictures, everything. They're just acting like it didn't happen, as if he didn't do anything. My daughter's the criminal in their minds.
They
For
know
trying
she's
to,
not.
right.
But the problem is you. And we've had a slight discussion about this. You may be the problem because of all of your advocacy, everything that you're doing, especially if he was sitting here bringing his child to you, trying to get $120 out of you for food because this big grown cornbread eating, he's too old for this. And he, again, I still can't believe he's 40. He looks rough. And I wondered, did you all even hear of when you had her checked out, there was no sign of any sexual abuse at all? Am I correct?
So she,
And I probably should have used another word, but no charge of SA.
right. And I do understand that they're not targeting my daughter, they're targeting me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's enmity between the seed. I get it, right? And I know it because I just helped too many Black children and families, but that's okay. I'm not going to stop, right? And when you understand how to work within their codified system, because they just expect for us to talk and be an oral tradition in our whole lives and not understand the code. And when we do understand it, they try to hurry up and switch it, change laws and rules. And because I'm able to be ahead of that, it's a little bit too much, right? And that's just the talent that the Father has given me. Just to backtrack a little bit about myself, I mean, I've been understanding code, laws, and policies since I was 7 years old. I had a dream when I was 7 years old that I was in a judge's gown, and I was sitting on in this huge courtroom, and I was basically hearing cases. And I woke up from that dream, and I knew that that was me, right? And so I always have had this dynamic understanding of law, and that's too much for them because they don't want us to be legally literate. They don't want us to understand the wicked codification system and the way that they use wicked judgments and do all these things that they try to bind us with their words and all of this crazy stuff. And so me being able to go into that system and retrieve children and retrieve justice and codify justice and infuse righteousness in that is a problem for them.
I have to ask this question
Mm-hmm.
because at least you recognized who you were in the very beginning. But I wanted to go back to this. How was he able to charm your daughter, knowing who he is? Is this
So
something that he does? Are Black women normally his target?
yes, so we found out that he has a case in another state for aggravated assault and child abuse to another Black woman and her child, right?
Wow.
And so anyway, I truly do believe that because of this generation, the one she's in, all of the propaganda, all of the constant feeding to them of the, mixed children and relationships and all of that, that she bought into that as if it was going to be something that she could live out a fantasy that she was fed. It's like indoctrination, right? And even
It
though
is.
she has a strong family that is saying, don't do XYZ, and this is what our values are, and here's what's important to us, she ends up dating this guy. Like I said, he's 11 years older than her. So she's 30, he's 41 actually, right?
Wow.
Or
Mhm.
maybe turning 41 this year. who is able to get into her head, able to impregnate her, and then after that, the mask falls off, right? And then she starts clearly seeing who he is. He's dangerous, he's violent, he's an alcoholic. He really doesn't even care too much for her. I think it was just like a token thing. Like, well, I got her. It's a sport for these guys. Okay.
It's like he has an ulterior motive, especially if he's doing it, which is one of the things I do want to hear our women stop just thinking, oh, we need to go over here, go over there. No, just calm down and love you. But she sounds like she was young then, especially because Iris is now 7.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She was very young. I mean, she's 30 now. Iris is 7. And you think about the 10 months of or 40 weeks of pregnancy. So she was what, 22, you know?
Right.
And she did tell me, like, he told her he likes young women. Okay.
That
How
he
young
needs
does that?
a mind to mold.
Yeah. How young does that go? His mom is married to a pedophile.
I'm sorry. Okay. And she is aware of this.
Their
And
whole
so
family's aware of it. As a matter of fact, when I brought it up and I told the guy that she's married to, you are not supposed to be around my granddaughter. And if I find out that you are, we're going to have problems and they're not going to stop. Okay. And I said, you are a documented offender.
Yes.
With a history of lewd and lasciviousness behavior with girls under 14. You have no business being around my granddaughter. Now, if everybody else would want to walk around here and act like, it's okay, that's them. That's them is your people, not mine. Okay. And he's like, and so what? Who cares? Basically, so what that I'm an offender? It was like nothing. It was like it didn't matter. Like, what does that mean to me?
I am. Let's.
So he has so there's a picture on his Facebook page. I'm talking about the Anthony's stepdad, where he was holding Iris and he puts a caption on that says, "Oh, this is a real sweet one right here."
What? Oh my God. This is just making me more and more between these photographs right here and everything and the fact that he's not even in California, because he stated in that interview that that's where he was supposed to be going back to. As a matter of fact, that's where you have your order from. This is where you're so-called have your order from with concern to being a custodial parent. You woke up one day, realized you couldn't take care of yourself. You need her in order to get your EBT card or whatever it is that you need. And now nobody knows where you are when you said it was supposed to be a real quick trip. And I want to play the video that you posted on TikTok with his friend, this is his friend talking so much. I did see that he had a number of criminal cases out there, but I couldn't locate anything on them. But
so his records are sealed.
Wow.
And we believe that the reason why his records are sealed, because I talked to a few attorneys about this. I have friends that are attorneys. And so they said the only reason why you will see a pattern of a person that has over 40 charges, warranted ones, and then they disappear is if he's a CI. They're just sealed. So what is he informing the LEOs about, right? So we know that there is something fishy about the fact that spanning across 5+ states, he has a criminal arrests, some felonies, and then all of a sudden those records are sealed. Nobody can see exactly what happened.
How is that even possible? I heard you say that your attorney friends, because I was going to also ask if you were also an attorney, have stated that they normally see this done with informants. So this is what we believe might be the situation, and they've just allowed him to get away with this child. He's already dangerous. He's already set up as being a danger anyway, so called, if that's what they're saying. Or maybe they're just putting it like that in the court system, and that's not necessarily the case, just so he can get by, especially with his records being sealed. Even in that event, this guy is dangerous. Anyway, let me play this quickly. His friend is talking too much for me.
For answers in what seems like a custody battle gone wrong. An endangered child alert is now out in Rutherford County. It remains active. 7-year-old Iris Crum was supposed to be picked up by her dad, but when he went there, she was gone. He tells our Kelsey Gibbs he just wants his daughter home.
She will act shy at first, and then once she feels comfortable, she will open up, and just very bubbly attitude, and her outlook is very wide and broad.
Anthony Crum says there's not a day he doesn't think about his little girl.
She's very outgoing, she's very talkative, she's very inquisitive and hyper. You know, very kind. Yes, and very kind.
7-year-old Iris is his world, and his world came crashing down when he learned his daughter is missing. Crum and his best friend Michael Surge, who is Iris's godfather, traveled to Rutherford County to bring her home. But when they came to get Iris, she was gone.
We were told to come down here by both lawyers, both Khaila's lawyer and Anthony's lawyer, that the exchange was going to be happening on Friday. So we did what we had to do to get into town. And here we are where she's missing.
An endangered child alert was issued by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation for Iris. The TBI says the child may be with her non-custodial mother, Khaila Zarita.
Mentally and emotionally, definitely she's going to be hurt.
Crum lives in San Diego. The Superior Court of California confirms that Crum was granted legal custody in 2018. An order filed in September 2023 states the court found that Iris's mother violated the current court orders.
She has no parental rights to the child whatsoever. So it's very distressing that we're stuck in this situation.
It's been 5 days and no sightings of Iris. They believe someone here knows something.
Speak up.
Speak up.
Let me have my daughter back.
Protect Iris. Do what is best for Iris.
Crum says he won't stop searching for his little girl.
I made a promise to my daughter once that regardless if anything ever happened to her, I will fight and I will do whatever I can. So I'm doing that.
In Murfreesboro, Kelsey Gibbs, News Channel 5.
Absolute slob turned his child over to the maternal grandparent and then decided, I guess, to me, he couldn't eat. And he needed her. Listen, I know you've got to get some rest. You've been
well, we found out that, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We found out that he was homeless because when he started that other GoFundMe, he, I guess forgot to delete the old GoFundMe that he had. So he had another GoFundMe where he had Iris's pictures up and saying that he was homeless. And in the process of, I guess, him being homeless, he applies for housing, is able to get it, but he can't get it unless he has Iris. So I think, after a period of time, he has to produce her, and the thing about it is nobody asked the question, why did you wait so long to go look for your daughter if she was so-called abducted? Why did you not do anything for months? And then all of a sudden oh, my daughter's been abducted. And if you look at the fact that he has one or two pictures of her, right?
Right. In that video. Happy birthday, Daddy.
That's it. That's it. And he doesn't have a consistent statement like, is she bubbly, is she sweet, is she shy, is she which one is it? Make your mind up,
He
right?
talked like he's talking about something else, somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's not his child.
And so the system has proven that they're not wanting to hear from me about my own granddaughter. And I have reached out to people that I've talked to before about other children, when I'm advocating or fighting for other children, and there's no problem. And so I believe it's an attack against the last 3 years of successes that I've had in multiple states for Black children and families. But they're not going to be victorious because they don't understand that the father's not going to allow them to get away with what they've done.
And he doesn't sound like he has, and no, he's not. But Anthony also does not sound like he has a very firm footing with his family or friends. I think it's odd that his friend showed up there to say, and we get here and she's missing. She wasn't missing.
Right. And then
she was never missing.
If you pay attention to the Texas news, they say they came from Chicago. In Tennessee, they say, oh, well, local father, like as if he was living there. In California, it's like, oh, he came from San Diego. Well, what place did he come from? Right? Somebody identify a location and stick with it. Because even the media keeps changing the story, and he changes the story every time. He's changed it over and over in the courts. Like, it's documented, right?
Right.
What's clear to us, I'm sure is clear to them. Now, someone had said to me last week, they said, Christina, did you ever think about the fact that the system likes taking our children away, and they know your daughter was going to take care of her, and the chances of her ever getting Iris taken away were very slim to none. They know he's going to mess up, and your granddaughter is like a commodity to them because they know they'll have to go back and take her. Your daughter, they got her locked up. And now she'll belong to the system. Did you ever think about that? And I said, you know what? Let me ponder that for a little while,
Really?
because it's obvious to all of us that he's not going to be able to care for her. And the system has to know that too. But what do they see? What kind of profit and benefit do they see? Probably like making a calculation. Well, in a few months, we're going to get a call or something's going to happen. She's going to get left at school. She's not in school right now. Whatever's going to happen. And we'll just go back and get her. And now she's our property.
You know what? It's not even intriguing. This is just unbelievable. But this is who certain people are. Mm-hmm. So y'all sat here, you turned this child over. It would have been different. Now imagine if they had done this to and this was your daughter who had done this, and he had said all of this, and she had all of this information documented when she sent it to the courts. I wish she hadn't have contacted him, but he was still going to find a way because he does not have firm footing even with his family and friends. If he's homeless and you had to find out he was homeless, this guy has nobody but that child. I pray that the Lord hear us and get little Iris back to you all.
Me too. I also, my daughter's being held in jail without a bond. First, they put $1 million bail, and then it's no bond. She's awaiting extradition to California and Tennessee. Hasn't had a court date.
Where is she at? Oh, well, never mind. Don't answer that.
Yeah, she's been there for almost 30 days without a court date. Like I said, she's 5 months pregnant. And she reaches out to me like they still won't take me to the doctor, even though she told me today that they put on her file that she went to the doctor and had an ultrasound, but they never took her.
What?
And yeah. And so,
Really?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so I initially hired a custodial attorney to deal with the custodial issues in attempt to rectify the custodial orders, because there's a conflict, what we call a conflict in the family law courts, because they don't communicate with each other. But after they were notified that there were other orders, they should have got it right. So I paid for the family law firm to go in and deal with it. And it was interesting because the judge seemed like he had been tipped off for something. I'm talking about with
Hmm.
money. And so I saw it as, this is corrupt. There's a lot of corruption here. And that's when I put up the GoFundMe, because I was like, I spent $15,000 on the family law firm to deal with this matter. And they shielded their argument, or they brought a proper argument to the court saying that she wasn't served, and under court rules, then that whole case is supposed to be thrown out. And the judge said, I'm going to accept the service, even though you're saying it's not proper. Well, wait a minute. Her due process rights were violated. You can't do that. But they did it. They did it. I mean, it's like one of those things where they follow the laws in the Constitution and due process any other time, but in this case, they're like, we don't care. Okay, so that's a lot of money to have to pay for another law firm to handle the criminal matter. And so that's why I put up the legal defense fundraiser, campaign, asking the community to help, just try to do whatever I can. Of course, I'm willing to work as much as I have to get my daughter out of that situation. But it's just one of those things where they have this web of complexities on purpose.
How did they explain the initial $1 million bail?
They didn't. They just put it at $1 million. And no, he
Because
is not. I see someone asking a question. I want y'all to look up the Dixie Mob, okay? And so that's who he is.
I thought you were just throwing that name out there. I
Oh
was
no,
not
that's a real.
aware that there was an actual Dixie Mob.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's a WS family. And they're still active. They don't call themselves the Special K anymore. And they're in certain parts of the U.S. And so we know that Tennessee is one of their mainstays. So,
This is mortifying. This is mortifying. I keep wondering what that baby is thinking, what she's going through right now.
So I don't know. I'm not able to talk to her, communicate with her. She hasn't come back to California. There have been some advocates and activists that just have been paying attention to this issue. And they sent me a picture of her in Illinois with a prostitute.
Excuse me. Okay.
So it's
You
a lot,
need
you guys. I
us.
mean, there's a lot that I can't say, but
Yes.
because these people put their own pictures out and my granddaughter was in them, just of maybe about a week and a half ago. Um, you know,
And they sent it to you.
the advocates that saw them sent them to me, because they're not the sharpest tools in the shed. So when people feel like they're superior or supreme, they go out and try to make put it in your face, or put it on the internet, or put it on, and brag about it, like, we got her, right? But they don't know that there are other people watching all of that besides the people that they think they're bragging to. And so some of those people that had seen these posts sent them to me and notified me, like, we know where your granddaughter is, right? Because they knew I was looking for her. And but told me who the people were in the picture that she was with. And so we verified that what they said about the people in the picture was absolutely true. I have
We
all
have
of their
some.
records, all of that, their background history, all of that.
You will prevail.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go ahead and we've gotten this information out with regard to the GoFundMe for your daughter.
Thank you.
We are asking everybody to please, it doesn't matter how little, how great, if you can give something, please give something. The fact that your daughter is being held without bail, and I also inquired about that, and I even told you my silly story of just kind of listening to what they were doing to I think this guy Nesto, Shirley Strawberry's husband, and finding out a lot of these things are allowed to be done, and you don't even know. They're picking you up and just putting you behind bars and holding on to you. And like you just reported, your daughter is telling you that they have it down on her records that she's been to see the doctor at 5 months pregnant, and she's not been to see anyone. So many first order of businesses with regard to getting our hands on that child and making a way for your daughter. So let's see what we can get done here.
Right. And I see people in the chat talking about, reaching out to other media outlets. If you guys have a way to contact them, I'm more than willing to talk to them. We did initially try to get the truth out there, but the mass media doesn't want to hear that. They have a narrative, they're sticking to it, and that's it. And
And I
so
see where Uncommon Woman has Dr. Richie.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. He would probably be somebody that would definitely say something about it.
Right.
So we'll see what we can get done on our end. And you will keep us updated, of course.
Definitely. I
Ladies and
appreciate you all.
gentlemen, thank you so much. I want you to go and get some rest. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you have not subscribed to her channel, she provides so much information. Please go and subscribe to Wise Society's channel. She's going to be keeping us updated with regard to whatever is going on with her daughter. This is the GoFundMe information. Listen, give what you can. Give what you can so we can go ahead and see this thing through. Christina, thank you so much for being here this evening. This was even more fiery than I thought it was going to be. This is troublesome. It's like it's going to stay in your heart. You can't help but have it stay in your heart. I did not realize. I thought that this child was back in California.
No.
My Lord.
And I want to ask just everyone, seriously, prayer warriors, pray for me, because I am still fighting for other children and families, while I'm also having to fight for my own. And the issue is that I believe this was intended to try to take me out, right? To try to wear me out, to try to break me down, to try to make me stop. But I'm not going to, because this is what the Father gave me to do. This is my assignment. And I'm not going to back down off of saying that what's happening to our children and our families is wrong. Because that's what they want me to do. Call it BIPOC or people of color. And I say specifically who I'm fighting for justice for. And so I ask for all of you to continue to pray for me, because there's a lot more fighting to do and a lot more children caught up in situations or injustices happening to them that we have to be paying attention to and fighting for as well. So I'll leave it
Thank
at
you
that.
so much. Thank you so much. And we are going to pray for you. I'm waiting for Kjudah to come up um, because he wanted to say a few words. And I haven't seen him yet, so bear with me just one moment.
And if people could share the GoFundMe, because I think it's being shadow banned, I'll call it that, as well. So I've been asking people, like, if you could just share it out a little bit, so that we can get some other eyes on it, and whatever the story's there, maybe I can get somebody to help bring the truth forward, and all of the pictures and all of the things that I've had as evidence for a period of time that have been ignored. She's not safe with him. What's next? When you torture a child by burning them with cigarettes, what do you do next? What do you do next?
And how is she just dropping into a rock pit or whatever it was that he called it?
Exactly. It doesn't make sense. Nothing he said made sense, and he brought no evidence with him. They just believed what he said.
Because I would have taken this as a person. If I take a child around a rock quarry or something like this, then I am somebody who is not safe, or who takes children into unsafe atmospheres. And based upon the information that you just even provided about them being in Michigan, that alone, and taking photographs with ladies of the night and things like that, that alone is letting you know. Greetings, Kjudah. Shalom.
Shalom, brother.
Kjudah.
Shalom,
As
how
I
y'all
pulled
doing?
him up. Oh,
Y'all can hear me?
yeah, we can hear you now.
Shalom, family, how y'all doing?
Shalom. Thank you
Shalom.
very much for allowing this to come out off of both of your channels. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, my sister. Whenever you need the platform, you can use it anytime. I just wanted to tell the family, please, family, support our sister. Go to the GoFundMe. I want to ask y'all to do anything I didn't do myself. So I already went to it, gave my donation. But let's not just do it one time. Let's continue to support our sister and the work that she do. I was thinking that to myself too, while society, that because of the work you do, it's really about you, my sister. But we know that the Most High Yahshua got you with the hedge of protection. We're gonna continue to pray for you. All the people that was listening, in the back, in the chat, let's just keep our sister in prayer, lift it up. Because when you do this type of work, family, you gotta also prepare yourself for the opposition that's gonna come against you. So, I just wanted to come
I'm
give
going to
it
get into the story.
Let's pray for her daughter. Let's pray for the grandbaby. And like I said, family, just support the GoFundMe and the work that our sister do. That's all I wanted to say, family. Shalom, peace, and blessings.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Shalom, Kjudah. Thank you so much. And thank you for allowing us to use your platform.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, again, do what you can, do what you would want somebody to do for you, because so many of us are out here alone thinking that we have advocacy with so many other people, or we don't. We are actually out here alone, and we've got to do right by each other. So whatever you can afford to give, please do something. Thank you so much. Wise Society, it's been a pleasure having you here this evening. Keep us updated. Whenever you need the platforms again, we are here and we will make it happen. Okay, go get some rest. You've worked hard, you've made some things happen, and we thank you so much. Even with regard to the Robinson family, please tell them that the CUC and FOP and the Honey Badger Gang, all of us send our condolences.
I definitely
Okay.
will. I definitely will. They have really I want to say something about what the mom's testimony was, an act of boldness, and she said, I just had to let the most high take over my mouth, because if you know, he died in August of last year. It hasn't even been a year, and now we have to go before the Senate to do that testimony, and that was a lot, for them. It very emotional,
Yes.
and just having to say before the state of California Senate to pass something that should have already been in law anyway. You don't take children out in the heat like that to make them run. I mean, everybody should know that, but apparently that coach didn't, right? And so for her, it was emotional, that 4 minutes of talking that she had to do, but she's so grateful. The mom and the dad are so grateful for the support, but they do want to continue to have the right story go out, since the coroner's report, they believe, is another injustice to them, and it's not fair that they didn't put the truth. They just tried to say this was the anomaly, heart anomaly, and the contributing factors were he. And the parents are really upset about that because they want the truth to be there.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll let
I
them know.
did not like that. When I
Right.
heard that, that troubled me. And I really did not know if I should even ask you
It's
that
okay.
question.
Yeah.
But
If I can't talk about something, I'll let you know. I have to protect the integrity of their rights, and I can't say that. But because that's public information and the parents have publicly stated this is not the truth about our son, I'm more than willing to elaborate on that. But just keep them in your prayers. It's a lot the whole family's going through. He did have other a sister and a brother that he left behind who struggle every day, because he was 12 years old, and we don't expect for 12-year-olds to die that way, at all. And so the parents,
exactly.
yeah, they're having a hard time. um, so they need all of the comfort, and peace, moments of peace that they can get.
Well, and we definitely, we all do, but definitely them. And it's just something, again, when I read his story, and if I am correct in saying that whenever people called his name, that he would say, I am him. I
Mm-hmm.
love that hashtag, I am him. That
Yep.
was just beautiful to me. And that's the thing about him, not knowing him, but seeing his beautiful face that stays in my heart every time I think about his mother speaking.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
referred to him as the late great.
Yeshua.
That's right. And for you, the Lord just be with you, because this you fight on behalf of so many other people, and now you need people to gather around you to do the same exact thing.
Yeah.
That's what's going to make this thing easier.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
bless
And
you,
I would do
bless
it
you.
for any of your children, right? If any of you called me and something happened to your child, trust and believe I'm pursuing justice as if it were my own. So
Hallelujah.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful evening and take care, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Please, again, go subscribe to Wise Society's channel. We will remain updated, and our platforms are open for whatever it is that she needs. Even if we all have to start getting letters together to write Dr. Richie, let's do it. We can make this thing happen, and this thing will be done. Peace and blessings. Shalom.
Shalom, family.